Right, as you can see, we've drilled and tapped the triple clamp to M6. I've got these Allen key head bolts in there to act as lock stops. So that one's already been cut down, that bolt, and thread locked in. Just got to do this one, which is over here ready. So just a top tip, I know you love them, especially Ben and Tom, my two biggest fans. So yeah, just put a nut on the bolt first, then cut off what you want, and then wind the bolt off, and then you've got a clean thread ready to bolt into whatever you're bolting up. And just another handy one is just to get one of these up in your workshop there. So this is a tap versus metric drill size chart, so just printed this off online and stuck it on the workshop wall, so saves a bit of time when you're busy working away. Right, so let's just show you it in action. So pop the bearing back on the race there, drop that into the frame. As you can see there, it hits the lock stop, which is great, and obviously without, it spins all the way around. So yeah, we'll just get the next one done and then we can carry on with the build. Okay, so all the triple clamps are back on and nipped back up. So yeah, that's the front end almost on. So just got to put the front guard on, handlebars, clamps. They just sit in there, bolt those all up, and then yeah, then we'll sort of take the rear wheel out, the rear brake system, and then get that transferred across. Then we've got it rolling. Then it's a case of dropping the engine out and got to sort out the rear sets. The rear sets on these, on my old CRF 70, by the way, I get lots of questions on these, and these are made by Matt Lockyer. So you can find him on Facebook, and he basically does this kit here, and you just get the pegs off eBay, the Chinesey ones, for about £7. Then it comes with a long tie rod here, then spacers that bolt into the frame, which is great, you know. So you just basically flip the gear kicker, as Derv would call it. So yeah, just basically flip that from there over to here. So it's race shift now, so it's all down, and obviously puts you with the rear sits in a more tucked race position and makes it feel like a bit more of a race bike. So yeah, get in touch with Matt Lockyer if you want a set of these. They're brilliant. Okay, so we have a complete front end on it now. So now to put the back wheel in it and the rear brake and some more bits. So yeah, this will be starting to look more and more sparse as we go through the old girl. The rear wheel's out the old bike, and chains split. Oh, talking to chains, don't buy the Chinese cheap chains. They just stretch literally every time you ride the bike. They're crap. They're obviously cheap for a reason. That particular chain on there, I think it's a Regina chain, or Regina, however you say it. But obviously DID, other people make good chains, and that chains was only about 14 quid off eBay. So you know, it's not a lot of money. It was off a KX80, I think it was listed as, but you know, it's just a 420 chain that you need, and just obviously count the links, make sure you get it long enough, really. So yeah, just another one there to look at. So yeah, just got the rear wheel out, running PMTS slicks on it, as you can see, all round. Actually no, tell a lie, I've got an SS in the front and an S in the rear, which is good for most dry conditions. I do need to get another set of wheels actually, with some wet tyres on. So obviously living in the UK, can't have it sunny all the time, so I need to organise that. But yeah, you can see got all the axle and spacers there, all laid out ready. So we'll get it in here. In the magic of YouTube, it'll be done in 1 second. Right, okay, so I've got the rear wheel on, sort of. I'll explain why. Basically, although they're both CRF 70 swing arms on this bike, and obviously the older one there, the width between the inner and, well, both of the inners are basically the swinging arm are slightly different between the two. I don't know if that old one's been bent or pushed in, or who knows what. But anyway, so I've been having a bit of fun and games for the last half an hour, finding some spaces to obviously get the wheel centred in the swinging arm, which is obviously crucial to the handling of the bike. Obviously you want it square, and you want the distance from here to here equal on both sides, which is coming up at 30mm at the moment. So I've been having a bit of a play around with all the various spaces I've got and what have you, having a measure up, as you can see. So I've got it centred in the bike, and and the chain line is good, so I've put a spirit level down there, and that seems to be aiming up nicely on the swinging arm where the chain runs. This side I've sorted the spacing out on the rear brake caliper and bracket there, and obviously that's engaged on the swing arm as well, so just in there, if you can see it, you've obviously got to make sure that's engaged properly. And as you can see here, I've got a bit of a gap, so what I'm going to do is tried to check all the space I've got, but none fit. So what I'm going to do is get the calipers out, measure the distance between here and here, and then I'm going to go and see my dad, who's got a lathe, and then we'll make a spacer to suit. It's always worth buying a selection of these. They're pretty cheap. You can get them from most Pitbike spares, Parker Racing, Miniature Parts Racing sell all these little spacers. It's worth having a few in your box when this kind of thing comes up. So I'll report back once I've made up a suitable spacer, then we'll get that bolted up, and then sort the thumb brake routing out and get that mounted back on the handlebars. Just been to see Dad, and he's cut me a spacer in half nice and accurately on his lathe, so you can see that's obviously been done properly with a part enough tool, and then Dad's faced it up as well. So thank you very much, Dad. Come to the rescue as usual. Right, so we've got the new Mike Hedling's modified spacer in there, so that's all good. We've got an existing stock spacer there, and then we've got one that side, and it's all in the centre of the swing arm, as you can see, and I've nipped it up, and obviously it's nice and free running as well. Winning. Just routed the brake line, put the clips on and clip that in position, ran it up through there. So we'll obviously add some cable ties to make sure this obviously doesn't foul anywhere. Up through there, and there we have it. And yeah, this is a rear thumb brake I made up. Basically copied a similar design that's on the market. So yeah, it's made that myself really. So it's just the front master cylinder, as you can see there, but flip round, cut down lever, a couple of aluminium posts, and then made this up, welded that on, and that's a bit of a skateboard grip tape that I stuck on there, which I use in my frames on my motocross bikes. But yeah, so I made my own thumb brake, as you can see. It's not perfect, but it does the job. Gets through scrutiny, and then I'm sort of having a play with it on cornering as well, which seems to be the sort of fashion in bike racing at the moment. So we'll have a bit of a further play with that this season. So as you can see, we have a rolling chassis now, which is cool. So next step obviously is to swap the engine over, take the exhaust off the old bike, get that dropped in there, then start doing the electrics and refitting plastics, etc. But it's all looking pretty snazzy so far, if I do say so myself. Right, I'll catch you for the next video shortly.